Greg wants to give Darla another chance. Coach is about to get Bill's mind right. And John, that is a pyramid scheme. Run. What's good, y'all? Sugar Sis Erica Vain coming to you right here on EricaVainTV 2 with another bruh video. Tyler Perry's bruh, to be specific. In this video, we're going to break down season 4, episode number 2, titled Blessings, where we get an introduction to a new character in Coach. I don't know his coach name, like Coach so-and-so. I'm going to go back and figure it out, y'all. But it's played by Christopher Duncan, and ultimately, y'all, he's going to be the thing that saved the series. We need him in every single episode because he came and brought such a grounding, powerful force that is so very appreciated. I found myself tuning out, as I typically do while watching these bruh episodes, because the boys are doing what the boys just typically do, and it don't feel like there's no growth coming, no evolution, no nothing, no push forward with their arcs, nothing. But then when Mr. Christopher Duncan pops up, and you know, Bill walks up on him, and he's a professional basketball coach, it seems, and I guess he coached him in college, maybe. It's not really fully clear, but he coached him before, and they have some kind of rapport, and he asks him to go out with him only to like talk about his problems. He reveals that Regina's pregnant. She caught him with the side piece, yada yada yada. And unlike so many of the other men in this bruh universe, Coach is not cutting no cards with you. He's not going to play the 50. He told this man, what is wrong with you? Are you on drugs? You need to focus on what is important and what is in front of you versus looking around and seeing every beautiful woman that you can stick your thing in. Why are you running around Atlanta just sticking your thing in everything? And those are the questions that I had as well, Coach. Those are the things I could not fathom. And I appreciate, what I will give Bill credit for is that he didn't lie. He was honest with Coach about the whole story as it pertains to this Regina love affair. He told him about how they got married at a courthouse after he broke up her original wedding, after he chased her only for her to turn around and marry him, and then him to disrespect and disregard her. And Coach looked at him like, sir, yeah, you giving stupid. You're giving what the I didn't coach you to be this type of man. And he had a nerve to be like, all right, Coach, chill. No, ain't no chill. This is the truth. You came to ask me for advice, so I'm going to give you some advice. And the scene itself, y'all, was just so poetic and so beautiful. Like, this is what I was hoping to see when I came in and started to watch bruh. Like, I get it. We all have our toxic things. We have problematic beliefs. We have limiting beliefs that plague us. However, once we get out and about in the world, you start to learn and unlearn some things. But these bruhs have not been put in a position to unlearn or learn things that's going to be necessary for them to be their best selves, because they all kind of placate and enable each other's bullshit. Coach is the character who is not going to enable your bullshit, and he was so refreshing, on top of the fact that he is like an icon. Like Christopher Duncan, y'all know, one of our black actor elites, and I loved it. I think that this scene was one of the best scenes of the entire season. Of the series, when they are sitting in the bar and just having this man-to-man talk, and Coach is getting in his ass, but he's getting in Bill's ass with love, with true care, with great advice. Like, yo, there is nothing for you out here. And the most beautiful part about it, like, I enjoyed the performance, but now I'm thinking, like, after the scene ended, I'm like, okay, I think that he gave him really, really great advice, but now I want to have a conversation of like, is this actually the best thing? Is the best thing for him to do to hone in and focus on, you know, his wife and his soon-to-be child, or is it to honor how he feels in reference to why he doesn't want to be there? Or does he still need to get to the bottom of why he don't want to be there after he chased this woman down and now he's dragging her ass through the mud? Now I feel like we have somewhere to go, not only in reference to the storylines with this character in particular, but also if we were to have conversations about the show. Like, which one do y'all think is best? Do you think it's best that he focus on Regina and prepares for the baby, or should he still walk away from Regina but also get to the bottom of like what made him do all that he did to get in this place to begin with? Because my thought is, ideally, I would love it for you to love being in this marriage and for you to want to be a father and for you to shape up. And then now all of a sudden you're doing everything right and you're moving with more intentionality and you're moving like a really strong man, a stable man that can actually lead a family. But how sustainable is that if that's not something that Bill actually wants for himself? If that's not something that Bill sees for himself, whether it's a desire or he believes himself to be worthy of such a life. You know what I'm saying? And I guess we're just going to have to wait and see as his character continues to unfold this season to see how much of which one of those things it is, because it's not necessarily clear to me. And that has been my criticism thus far in reference to not having the full whys behind some of why the characters are doing what they're doing. So you can't really understand, or you can't really fully relate. But just introducing this coach, his former coach, and then him having this very grounded real conversation with him is definitely a start specifically for the Bill character, and I cannot wait to see where we go from here. But the top of the episode, we start off with Greg, who was actually sitting in Tom's house with Darla again. And it was surprising to me because usually the formula is for Tyler to pick up the episode right where the previous episode left off. But it looks like we've kind of like skipped a day, and now Greg is like kind of on a date, but they are talking about how they, decided to be friends. Darla's uncomfortable with them kissing and making out because they decided to be friends, and she wants somebody that's going to pursue her, court her, do all of the things to give romance, and clearly Greg is not looking to do that. And I'm just wondering, how did we get here? And we don't get additional context or additional storyline from these two in this episode, so we're gonna have to wait for more episodes to figure that out, because Greg has already done some very disrespectful things to Darla. Darla has already ignored and like placated to the disrespect. So I'm just wondering, how did we get on this couch kissing one another, basically with you begging him to do right by you, which it didn't come off as begging initially, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, girl, if you have to tell this boy to give you all of this, one, he didn't have no plans to do it, and two, it's basically like you're begging for it. And I really didn't like how Darla's story in particular, being a trans woman, how her storyline has been handled thus far in the series. So I'm hoping that this season, now that she's back and back tied to Greg, that we'll see it be explored in its totality with full actualization and a little bit of nuance. But it's also Greg, one of the raggedy bros, so we can't really get our hopes up too high. Now, also in this episode, Miss Alice let some little random pyramid scheme person come spouting a bunch of noise with a goofy ass product to sell to people within the coffee shop. And John is more attracted to this woman's face than her actual business proposal. And he starts to try to get involved with the business, but he can't afford a $1,500 cover charge to actually sign up and be a part of this multi-level marketing scheme. Ultimately, she winds up gifting him something to try to court him in, and she gives nothing but snake oil salesman, regardless of her pretty face. And I'm really kind of curious. Like, I think that this is the least consequential storyline, but I'm curious as to where it's going to go. John is one of the best bros as it pertains to like actually having a little bit of sense, having some respect for women, and not doing too much. Him and Tom are like the best of the five. So it makes sense that he's getting a little bit of a softball storyline because he doesn't have as far to grow as it pertains to his romantic relationships. But we will have to see about that. And similar with Tom. Tom is over at the hospital, and the older doctor, who is like the chief of the hospital, wants to pass this job down onto him because he believes in him and thinks he's done a great job. So it'll be cool. We'll probably get to see more professional development from Tom this season, and not much in reference to his romance, because we don't get to see the young lady, the young doctor who was pursuing him last season, pop up yet this season. And most of his storyline in this episode really pertain to the doctor offering him the position and him considering it, but the doctor also trying to convince him like to really fully consider it because he would be great for the role. Now the other bruh, Mike, who is still in rehab, still struggling and adjusting, being 3 weeks post overdose, and now in rehab trying to recover his life, is pushing forward. And I didn't talk about him much in the last episode breakdown, but him and Pam, I guess, are good. He is nice to her again. She's another one where I just don't understand why she's still there, because this man disrespected you so terribly. There's no way that I thought she could ever recover from that. And it's interesting because in the first episode, she's really concerned about him, but she's also trying to keep her distance and guard her heart. In this episode, she meets with Regina, where she learns that Regina's pregnant and learns about, what actually went down. So we get dialogue about what happened at the end of last week's episode, or at the end of episode 1, where we saw it drop off, where Regina announced to Bill that she was pregnant. We get the dialogue of her telling like what happened. She found a girl, Bill didn't respond well, yada yada yada. But also within this conversation, while they're having lunch, she reveals that she doesn't want to do this with Mike anymore, and she's been lying and don't want to have sex with him, and that's how she knows that she's no longer in it. And I'm like, well, girl, about time. This man has really drugged your name, your body, your spirit, your mental, every bit of your emotions through the mud. It's about time that you cast him asunder. He needs to figure it out. And if y'all are actually meant to be, maybe he can come back better than ever, but you should not have to struggle along with him in this particular time in which he builds himself up, because he did a damn good job of tearing himself and you down very easily. So he need to go ahead and find all the strength that he can to build himself back up. I think that's pretty much it from the episode. Oh, the woman that Bill had been cheating on Regina with, Claudia, the maid, her husband is chasing her all around Atlanta, chases her into the sandwich shop, and he's looking like he's about to cause some violent bodily harm to her, but she's able to escape because Miss Alice gets her, pushed into the bag, and then they send him out. So we finally get to meet her crazy ass husband that they alluded to all of this time. So we know that this is going to swing back around, even though Bill is probably going to get back on board with being a good husband and being a faithful husband and a leader in his family. Now Claudia is running from her husband, is probably going to need Bill's help to get away from him now that he found out that she's cheating, and it's going to bring all of this drama back to his doorstep. The interesting part though is that she ran into the sandwich shop with Miss Alice and John, and they don't actually know the face of the woman that Bill was cheating on Regina with, so they don't even know that this was the woman, and I can't wait to see how that all plays out once they actually find out. Those are my thoughts, as well as the recap for season 4, episode 2, titled Blessings of Tyler Perry's Bruh. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. What are you predicting for this season? What storylines and characters are interesting you the most? Let me know so that we can continue to chop it up. It's your good sis you love to talk TV with, right here on EricaVainTV 2. Hit that subscribe button and that like button if you haven't already. You know I got you, and I'm going to see you in the next one.